Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 311 based on novel. So let's start. Almost all the gazes in the hall were focused on Master Void's avatar. The continuous strike from the treasure shocked everyone's hearts greatly. All of this happened too quickly. The silver light became faster and faster, then came the 19th strike, the 22nd strike. Wang Lin's skin withered on a large scale and his eyes became dim. Not even his ancient god body could withstand this kind of absorption. After the 17th strike, each strike took several times more than the last, and 23 strikes was Wang Lin's limit. After the 23rd strike, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. Like a ray of lightning flashing across the sky, the silver light attacking Master Void's avatar suddenly stopped. The moment it stopped, the silver shined like it had never shined before and lit up the entire hall. Under the flash of the silver light, 23 large silver swords appeared next to Master Void's avatar. The moment they appeared, they all pierced through the avatar. The 23 large swords were like 23 silver meteors that fell at an unimaginable speed. A series of rumbles echoed when all 23 swords pierced through Master Void's avatar. The avatar didn't even have the chance to dodge. When the 23 large swords penetrated the avatar, the purple ice cube inside cracked and began to collapse. Along with the ice cube, Master Void's avatar was split into countless pieces when the 23 swords penetrated it. This didn't end here. The 23 large swords seemed to form a net and they charged at Master Void. Master Void was still comprehending the source origin when his face turned pale and he coughed out blood. He was aghast at the situation. This isn't an ordinary pseudo-Nirvana Void treasure. He didn't expect Wang Lin to have such a powerful treasure and be so difficult to kill. Now that his origin soul avatar was destroyed, he sustained serious injuries. His scalp went numb when he saw the 23 swords that destroyed his origin soul avatar and his own pseudo-Nirvana Void treasure charge at him. However, he only needed a few more breaths of time to fully comprehend the mysteries of the source origin. If you wanted to make him dodge, then you might as well just kill him instead. Screw it. Master Void had cultivated for countless years and had naturally guessed that Wang Lin had used the source origin as bait and forced him into a situation where he couldn't use his full power. This forced him to place most of his effort into comprehending the source origin and thus created a killing formation that made it hard him to advance or retreat. He didn't retreat and instead slapped his bag of holding. A black tortoise shell the size of his fist appeared in his hand. It was completely black and released a powerful pressure. It was unknown where the shell was removed from. This tortoise shell was also a pseudo-Nirvana Void treasure. As an important member of the Cultivation Alliance, he was naturally not short on treasures. After throwing the tortoise shell, Master Void clenched his teeth and no longer paid any attention to any of this. His divine sense spread out like crazy as he comprehended the source origin. He could feel that he was only a sliver away from finding the path to the third step that he had been dreaming of for countless years. The tortoise shell flew out and floated before Master Void. It released a large amount of black light, but just when the black light started shining, the 23 large swords came crashing down on the tortoise shell. A thunderous rumble echoed, and while the tortoise shell was pushed back, it was able to resist the attack. However, this attack didn't stop. After the third sword dissipated, the fourth and fifth swords quickly followed. This went on until the 21st sword smashed down as a ray of silver light. Rumble, 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 rumble. The black tortoise shell continued to retreat and countless cracks had appeared on it. It only lasted 3 breaths of time before it shattered into countless pieces and scattered in all directions. When it collapsed and lost the power to block, the 22nd and 23rd swords shot directly at Master Void. These last 2 large swords contained the most destructive power. In the blink of an eye, they shot toward Master Void's chest. He didn't have time to use any spell at this distance, and it was impossible for him to give up this chance to comprehend the source origin. Although this sounds slow, it all happened in an instant. At this moment of crisis, Master Void waved his hand and his clothes began to move as if they were being blown by the wind. A purple wind suddenly appeared and formed a whirlwind around him. However, the moment the whirlwind appeared, it collided with the 22nd sword. There was a loud bang and the whirlwind collapsed. The moment it collapsed, the last sword directly went through and landed on Master Void's chest. At the same time, Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. He was waiting for this moment, which was the final moment of this killing formation. He raised his sore left hand and rubbed the rust marks on the iron sword. Once his left hand had rust on it, he flicked his finger. When Master Void was hit by the 23rd sword, he coughed out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale, his clothes were in tatters, and his chest was a bloody mess. Almost there. Master Void seemed to have gone crazy. He completely ignored his body's injuries and focused on comprehending the source origin. He had a feeling that he was very close to the path to the third step and was about to be completely enlightened. However, at this moment, the strange power from the rust entered the void when Wang Lin flicked his finger. Just as Master Void was about to comprehend the path to the third step, the rust flew by like a gentle breeze. Master Void's body trembled and a large amount of blood sprayed out from his chest. Blood came out of all his orifices, forcing him to retreat. This made him leave the red light the source origin was in, and everything he worked for was ruined. No. Master Void's eyes were red like a beast's, but his body was thrown back away from the source origin, and there was nothing he could do about it. At the same time, a large amount of blood gushed out from his body. Wang Lin's third eye flashed and the red light returned. Almost all the source origin was gone, only a sliver remained. Wang Lin held the iron sword as his cold gaze shifted toward the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman's mind trembled at the gaze. Wang Lin's spell and treasure had shocked her greatly. She unexpectedly didn't dare to meet his gaze and lowered her head. As for the man in black, when Wang Lin looked over, the man in black's eyes revealed shock and fear. He unexpectedly also didn't dare to face Wang Lin. The aura Wang Lin currently had was the strongest it had ever been in his life. Whether it was through a scheme or deception, he was able to beat a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. No one was willing to provoke someone like this. If you want my source origin, if you want my treasure, then quickly come and take them. Killing intent flashed across Wang Lin's eyes and he revealed a sneer. His body gradually disappeared into the purple vortex formed by the two statues. Although he disappeared, the shock he left the beautiful woman, the man in black, and Master Void lingered for a long time. The fear in the man in black's eyes couldn't dissipate. Just thinking about the 23 swords Wang Lin had summoned made his heart feel a chill. Although he knew that Wang Lin had probably spent all his power summoning those 23 swords and was just putting up a front, he didn't dare to gamble. That 23 sword attack made him lose some confidence. The Vermilion Bird Divine sect will revive once more because of this person. Not only will they return to their former glory, they will reach a new height. This person has source origin. Who gave him the source origin? The man in black trembled and the fear in his eyes became even stronger. Master Void's body landed on the ground. His face was pale and he was in a miserable state. His eyes were filled with frustration. Only a sliver more. Only sliver more, ah! Master Void clenched his fist. The pain from his body and having half of his origin soul destroyed caused his cultivation level to fall greatly. The hope he had when he was about to comprehend the source origin followed by the irreconcilable disappointment caused him to let out a roar. However, he was someone who had cultivated for countless years. After letting out a roar, he calmed down and even more intense killing intent appeared in his eyes. That child is far too cunning, he is also bold and decisive. I must not allow him to become the future Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor. In order to kill him, I'm willing to risk having my first Heaven's Blight arrive 3,000 years early to use this chance to kill him and seize the source origin. The shock in the beautiful woman's heart was no less intense than that of the man in black or Master Void. In fact, because she knew more, she was even more shocked than the other two. What shocked her beside Wang Lin's source origin was that iron sword. She had only heard of powerful treasures like this once in her life. She remembered back in the brilliant Void Realm, when the elders were talking about treasures in the world, they once said this one thing. Although the treasures in the world were split into spirit, mysterious, celestial, void, and nirvana, they weren't the only 5 types. There were treasures even above those 5 ranks, but even the elder talking about it had only encountered Nirvana-level treasures. There were many spirit and mysterious treasures. Most treasures used by first-step cultivators were within these 2 ranks. There were also some first-step cultivators with celestial treasures. However, for second-step cultivators, celestial treasures weren't strong enough to meet their requirements. For Nirvana Shatter old monsters, unless the celestial treasure was of top quality, then it was often not as useful as celestial spells. At this time, these Nirvana Shatter old monsters would search for a higher rank of treasure. Ignoring the commonly used celestial treasures of the ancient refiners, they looked for treasures that dated back to even older times. The relics from those ancient times were void treasures. Although void treasures were rare, there were still some left. Every single Nirvana Shatterer old monster would treasure a void treasure greatly. After all, the method of producing them was lost, and they couldn't be repaired. Once they were broken, they would lose a lot of their power. In truth, some pseudo-Nirvana void treasures weren't really pseudo-Nirvana void, they were merely just void treasures. They were just a bit stronger, and the pseudo-Nirvana void name was just for vanity's sake. For normal Nirvana Shatterer old monsters, void treasures were already the peak, and they would do anything for them. However, for those that stood at the top, although void treasures were still precious, they weren't lacking these kinds of treasures. In truth, none of the treasures in this world would catch their attention. What they pursued was how to transcend the second step toward the legendary third step they all dreamed of. However, this third step was too ethereal, and the path was too vague. One could only wait for the 5 heavens blights to arrive one by one. In the end, they would become a grain of sand among the waves and die. For those old monsters that had lived such long lives, it was no longer a dream or hope of reaching the third step, but a desire to live. Only with the power of the third step could they endure the 5 heavens blights, otherwise, what awaited them was death. At this moment, a cultivator from the system under the Wind Celestial Realm arrived in the Alliance star system. Although he hadn't reached the third step, he had passed the 4th heavens blight. The 5 heavens blights were things all Nirvana Shatterer cultivators had to face. Every time they passed a heavens blight, their strength would increase greatly. However, they were simply too difficult, and failure meant they would immediately die. The reason this person was able to pass the 4th heavens blight was precisely because he had a magic treasure. This treasure was a Nirvana treasure. After investigating, Nirvana treasures seemed to come from primordial times, but the amount that remained was extremely low. Although this was the case, those Nirvana Shatterer old monsters found records of treasures that were beyond void treasures but just second to Nirvana treasures. These were pseudo-Nirvana void treasures. Although pseudo-Nirvana void treasures weren't as rare as Nirvana treasures, only a pathetic amount still existed. Almost all of them were in the hands of peak Nirvana Shatterer cultivators. The requirement for joining the Alliance Elder Group was to have a pseudo-Nirvana void treasure. Aside from the fact that these treasures were extremely powerful, they also played a certain part in helping a cultivator resist the 5 heavens blights. Pseudo-Nirvana void treasures were also split into different grades. They were split into low, mid, high, and top tier, like normal treasures. After all, these treasures were all left behind by ancestors. The descendants didn't even know how to make them, much less categorize them properly. It can absorb a cultivator's killing intent, form an illusion, and have such power. The treasure in Wang Lin's hand might be high-quality pseudo-Nirvana void, or even a peak pseudo-Nirvana void treasure. The beautiful woman gasped and dread filled her eyes. While the 3 of them were thinking, a roar came from outside. The man in black immediately jumped between the statues and copied Wang Lin to leave this place. Master Void and the beautiful woman also flew over. At this moment, at the 2nd floor of the Celestial Emperor Cave, there was a flash of purple light at a pavilion near the center of the 2nd floor. Wang Lin's figure walked out from the light. A Nirvana Shatterer cultivator is unexpectedly difficult to kill. Master Void is seriously injured, but still not dead. There is also that beautiful woman, and right now, when Wang Lin appeared, he immediately coughed out a mouthful of blood and showed a rare sign of fatigue. However, this iron sword was beyond my imagination. I didn't think it would have this kind of power. If I can get all 5 iron swords for the sword sheaths and use them, Wang Lin took a deep breath and shook his head. If he were to use them at the same time, he would likely be drained dry in an instant. He put the iron sword back into the sword sheath and put it back inside his bag. Wang Lin took out some pills and devoured them. Without waiting for them to digest, he clenched his teeth and moved forward. He had put up a front and used his momentum form, seriously injuring Master Void to shock the man in black and the beautiful woman. Otherwise, if both of them attacked, Wang Lin would have without a doubt died. At this moment, he had no time to sit down and recover. He had to use his advantage of knowing the layout of the cave to create distance between him and them. After taking a deep breath, Wang Lin moved through the various restrictions and soon arrived at one of the restriction eyes marked on the map. After taking a look, Wang Lin immediately confirmed his speculation that someone else had come here first and broke the restriction eyes. It was unknown what floor they had already reached. He dragged his weary body toward the palace at the center, surrounded by the black fog. The first 6 floors of the Celestial Emperor Cave were mostly structured the same. With Wang Lin's familiarity, although he was slower than usual, he still quickly arrived at the center of the 2nd floor where the entrance to the 3rd floor was. At this moment, the man in black, the beautiful woman, and the heavily injured Master Void also arrived at the 2nd floor. The seriously injured Master Void was no longer as arrogant as he was in the 1st floor. He moved forward slowly, and this gave Wang Lin time in the palace in the 2nd floor. There were no statues here, only 9 stone candlesticks. Wang Lin calmed his anxious heart, and after carefully observing for a long time, he frowned. However, his gaze suddenly landed on the candlesticks on the table, and he noticed faint traces of movement. There were deep and shallow traces, so they were moved more than once. It was obviously made to confuse people. His eyes lit up, and he squatted down and carefully observed them. His eyes gradually lit up. He felt a sliver of sword energy from these candles. This sword energy was very ordinary, so even if others felt it, they would think it was just residue from someone trying to break the candlesticks by force. However, to Wang Lin, the meaning was significant. Senior Ju Yi's sword energy. If he left the sword energy here, that means he is already at the 3rd floor, so why did he leave it here? Could it be? Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. He had recovered some origin energy on the way here. Now he waved his hand and the 9 candlesticks immediately lit up. The moment the candles lit up, the light from the flames surrounded Wang Lin, and he disappeared to the 3rd floor. Moving the candlesticks was only to confuse others. Even the trace of being moved was just to distract people from the fact that the candlesticks needed to be lit. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, Wang Lin had spent 2 months in the Celestial Emperor Cave. In these 2 months, he only had a short period of time to heal. The rest of the time was spent traveling through each floor. The deeper he went, the stronger the restrictions became. Even with Wang Lin's restriction knowledge and the map's instructions, it took some time to get past them. What wasted the most time were the palaces at the center of each floor. They were like balls of mysteries that required a lot of effort to find the entrance to the next floor. If that was it, it wouldn't be such a big deal, but after the 4th floor, the map showed many storage spaces as well. Wang Lin was naturally unwilling to let them go, so he checked them out. Most of them had already been opened by others, but there were still a few places not found. Wang Lin moved everything he had found into his bag. Just thinking about his harvest in these 2 months made Wang Lin excited. Even he was shocked greatly by the stuff inside the storage spaces. When it came to things such as celestial jades, Wang Lin had enough to supply a sect for 1,000 years. There were many other things as well. From Wang Lin's point of view, these storage spaces were storage points set up by Celestial Emperor Qing Lin. There was obviously a purpose for all of them. Wang Lin didn't know what purpose Qing Lin had, but the things were now his, which made Wang Lin excited for a few days. What was even more exciting was that according to the Jade, there were 2 transfer arrays to storage spaces on the 6th floor. One of them contained a lot of celestial pills and elixirs from before the celestial realm collapsed. At this moment, those pills and elixirs were more important than any treasure. During these 2 months, Wang Lin still hadn't recovered his full strength. His physical injuries were no longer an issue due to his strong recovery from his ancient god body. The problem was his loss of origin energy and how his origin soul had weakened from using the iron sword. If he had no pills, it would be difficult to recover in a short period of time. Wang Lin was almost out of pills, and adding on the dangers that were everywhere, Wang Lin absolutely had to obtain that storage space full of pills. On this day, there was a flash of light at the edge of the 6th floor. Wang Lin walked out from the light. The place he appeared in was surrounded by pavilions, as if it was its own little garden. There were mountain-sounding area and a river flowing not far away. The sound of the flowing river echoed and was very soothing. This is the 6th floor. Wang Lin took a deep breath and looked around. After quickly matching his location with the map, he immediately knew his current location. Wang Lin's eyes was filled with determination as he charged toward the right. I must obtain those pills. Wang Lin moved very quickly through those restrictions, but soon he stopped and looked straight ahead. There is someone here. Wang Lin had noticed a lot of traces of people as he moved through the 2nd to 5th floors, but he had never encountered anyone. This was the first time he detected someone. It mustn't have been easy for little brother to make it here. A slightly surprised sound came from ahead. 2 people walked out from the fake mountain before Wang Lin. It was a man and a woman. The man had the air of a celestial, and he was very handsome, and he smiled at Wang Lin. Behind him, the woman had a soft gaze, but there was also a hint of surprise. She apparently didn't expect Wang Lin to be able to arrive here. Seeing it was the celestial cloud cultivation couple, Wang Lin's expression was calm, but his heart was on guard. His cultivation hadn't recovered, and he was at his weakest state inside the Celestial Emperor cave. Any carelessness might get him killed. After he calmly took a step back next to a restriction, Wang Lin clasped his hands and said, "Greetings, Senior Celestial Cloud." As he spoke, he looked behind them and didn't see Ju Yi, causing his heart to sink. Little brother's knowledge of restrictions is really mysterious. It seems that I have really underestimated you. Wang Wei laughed. He didn't know much about Wang Lin, and Ju Yi had never said anything about Wang Lin. From Wang Wei's point of view, for Wang Lin to be able to break through the restrictions to get here, then Wang Lin's restrictions ability had to already be at a peak. As for Wang Lin's injuries, Wang Wei naturally saw through them. The Celestial Cloud cultivation couple was very strange to Wang Lin. When the Celestial Emperor cave opened, everyone should have been sucked into the bottle world. However, even after the bottle world collapsed, they didn't appear, yet they appeared here. Wang Lin was unwilling to speak too much with these two, and with Ju Yi not here, he had his own speculations. In addition, he was injured, so he retreated and said, "If you 2 seniors have nothing else, then Junior will take his leave." With that, Wang Lin immediately retreated. He was about to go around from the side to where the pills were stored. The smile on Wang Wei's smile remained and he only slightly shook his head. It wasn't until Wang Lin disappeared into the restrictions that he said, "This little guy is very interesting." His cultivation couple, Hu Huan, also smiled. This Wang Lin is very cautious. Originally, I wanted to talk to him more, but he was scared away by you. Wang Wei laughed. He was not scared away by me, he just has another place to go. See how he smoothly stepped into that restriction without activating it. Either he has a very good understanding of the restrictions here, or his restriction ability has once again exceeded my expectations. Hu Huan looked at where Wang Lin disappeared to before she frowned slightly and softly said, "With his age, I'd rather believe he understands this place very well." Wang Wei smiled at Hu Huan and laughed. "Do you feel unjust that he is able to step through the restrictions here so easily? But I agree, he seems to understand his place very well, and that just makes this more interesting." "What unjust?" "Ah, you are still teasing me at this age." Ju Huan smiled. Her eyes were like the crescent moon, very beautiful. Wang Wei also smiled, and his expression was filled with wisdom as he said, "Before, we guessed that the sword spirit had a companion. If I'm not wrong, that sword spirit's companion should be him." Hu Huan was startled. After thinking carefully, she smiled. "If you say so, then it is." If that is really the case, then he isn't an enemy. Looking from where he came from, if he really understands this place well, he should be going to where the Celestial Emperor stores his pills. We'll go have a look. The Sword Spirit must be there as well. Those two must have some secrets between them. Wang Wei smiled and walked forward. Hu Huan looked at Wang Wei, and her eyes filled with tenderness. Hu Huan strongly believed in all of Wang Wei's calculations. She picked up her steps and walked next to Wang Wei. As Wang Lin retreated, he went through restriction after restriction. The restrictions on the 6th floor were far more complex, so Wang Lin's speed was affected. He could instantly pass some restrictions, but others required him to carefully calculate it before taking a step. After using 7 days of time, Wang Lin circled around this area and closed in on the pill storage location. According to the map, this was an alchemy room, and inside it was a transfer array to where the pills were stored. Looking at the alchemy room from far away, Wang Lin walked toward it. As he walked, his divine sense was spread out, but not too far, and he observed the surrounding restrictions. Based on the fluctuations of the surrounding restrictions, he would know if anyone was closing in. This alchemy room wasn't large, and there was a garden next to it, but it was filled with withered plants. As Wang Lin closed in and was just about to enter the garden, he stopped. Wang Lin stared at the alchemy room and vaguely felt that the restrictions here was a bit different from what was on the map. Along the way here, the map was very accurate for the first 5 floors, and the restrictions were only different in this spot. The only explanation was that someone had messed with the restrictions here. His expression became gloomy. Wang Lin looked around and his eyes lit up as he observed the restrictions. After a long time, he vaguely saw some clues, but those clues made him frown even harder. From what he could see, some restrictions had been added on top and caused the slight change. However, the restrictions added on later unexpectedly fused perfectly with the restrictions that were already there. Restrictions were very changing, and everyone casted restrictions differently. Due to their personality, experience, understanding of restrictions, and cultivation level, even if the same restriction was casted by 100 people, they would be completely different to people who understood them, even though they looked the same on the surface. As a result, this restriction that was changed was unimaginable and clearly subverted his understanding of restrictions. It unexpectedly fused so perfectly. From my understanding of restrictions and the annihilation restriction inheritance, it is impossible for the fusion to be so perfect when placing a restriction that forcibly changes another restriction. Even if it is possible, it has to be someone whose restriction ability has already reached a peak and is able to change some beginner's restriction. However, this is the 6th floor of the Celestial Emperor Cave, a place with restrictions that are rarely seen, so how could it have been changed so perfectly by someone? If there really is such a person, then all the restrictions inside this cave would be child's play for them and they could easily move through all 9 floors. Wang Lin gasped and was shocked by this idea. He was unwilling to believe it, and he carefully examined it once more. The fusion of restrictions here was something that couldn't even be described with the word perfect anymore. This was like the same person had perfected their own restriction at a later time. Could it be? A thought flashed through Wang Lin's mind and his eyes widened. Could it be that the person who placed all the restrictions in the Celestial Emperor Cave and the person who changed the restrictions here was the same person? Wang Lin gasped. This answer would explain everything, but it was simply too inconceivable. Wang Lin stared at the restrictions and vaguely felt like if his guess was correct, then he had found a big net. He just didn't know who had placed the net. The first thought that appeared in Wang Lin's mind was the Celestial Cloud Cultivation couple. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin was unwilling to just give it up like this, as the pills were too important to him. Wang Lin stared at the restriction and began his own deductions. The restrictions here were extremely complex and were obviously here to prevent others from entering. Wang Lin simply sat down, and flashes of restrictions appeared in his eyes. He slapped his bag of holding and a compass appeared in his hand. He sat there for 3 days. After 3 days, Wang Lin's eyes slowly became bloodshot. The countless changes of the restrictions flashed through his head as he searched for the correct way to break it. On the 4th day, Wang Lin raised his head. He stood up and arrived before the alchemy room. He then walked 3 steps forward without any hesitation. Wang Lin revealed hesitation on the 5th step. According to his calculations, the 5th step was the most difficult to find the correct answer to. It seemed like no matter where he stepped, it was wrong. The 5th step, Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and after a long time, he smiled. There is no 5th step. When he stepped out, his 5th step landed in the void and he jumped, landing on the ground ahead. As a result, that was the 6th step. After landing, Wang Lin immediately observed his surroundings to make sure he triggered no restrictions and let out a sigh. Then he quickly moved through these restrictions and appeared outside the alchemy room. Just as he was about to enter, his expression changed and he suddenly retreated. Just as he retreated, the door opened and a ray of sword energy shot out. The sword energy closed in, but after seeing Wang Lin, a surprised sound came from the sword energy. Shortly after, the sword energy scattered, revealing a white figure. It was Zhu Yi. Wang Lin stopped retreating after clearly seeing Zhu Yi and placed down his seal. He didn't speak, he looked at the alchemy room first. The inside and outside were like 2 different worlds that divine sense couldn't penetrate. That would explain why Zhu Yi didn't know Wang Lin had come and Wang Lin hadn't detected Zhu Yi. I knew you would be able to arrive here. Looking at Wang Lin, Zhu Yi revealed melancholy and a smile. There was also a hint of reminiscence. In Wang Lin's eyes, Zhu Yi had changed a lot. What surprised him was an aura that was very similar to that of a pseudo-nirvana void treasure coming from Zhu Yi. This video will end here.